poppin', guys? It's your boy Crix209 back at you guys with another video, and today we're going to be going over how to use rhythm to set up pressure. Now, I wanted to make this video because I've been getting a lot of comments in my live streams as well as messages on PlayStation about how I'm able to pressure my opponent so effectively while keeping my stamina high. So in this video, we're going to be going over the two ways that I personally use my rhythm to set up pressure, and hopefully this will help you guys better pressure your opponents and kind of get a better understanding of how I do what I do to my opponents. But before we get into all that, we need to break down one thing first, and that is utilizing the jab. Now, how I utilize my jab is I use my jab as a reader, which is how a lot of fighters in real life utilize their jab. They jab to kind of get their opponent set, get them worried, and they use it as a setup punch. So that's the same way I use my jab. I don't just use it to start up combinations. You know, I use it to gauge my distance, to get a good feel of the distance, and to just keep something in my opponent's face. So starting out, most of the time, people will tend to just block the jab, but after about 2 minutes of the first round, you'll start to see people make adjustments to it. They'll start to either try to slip it off or just eat it off their block. And then that goes into the two steps that I'm about to break down for you guys. But in order to get to those two steps, you need to be able to effectively use your jab or a straight or a hook or anything like that. But for me, it's my jab. So now that we've gone over how I set up these two steps, which is utilizing my jab effectively, we can go into a breakdown of the two steps. Now, the first step that I want to break down for you guys is if somebody is just blocking, and how I set up pressure with somebody that is just holding high block the entire time. Now, we're going to go ahead and set up Robert Whitaker here to just hold his block up like somebody would do on ranked championships. Now, how I do this effectively with trying to minimize the potential of damage coming back my way is I'll jab, I'll back up, I'll reset, and then I'll jab again and just kind of get a good feel for what my opponent is doing. Now, this is where you kind of got to have high fight IQ and really pay attention to what your opponent is doing, because some opponents will just block and get you used to just blocking, and then they slip off and they rip off a hard combo, and then you're damaged. So you want to be real careful and have a high fight IQ and really pay attention to what your opponent is doing after about the 2 minute mark of the first round, because that's when they kind of get in their rhythm, or they kind of try to establish their own pace. But if your opponent is just blocking and just backing up the entire time, then what I'll do is I'll jab into their block, I'll step back, let my stamina rebuild, and then I'll step in with a 2 or 3 punch combination, and then I'll stand there and throw a stationary combination. So it'll look like this right here. So I'll jab, come back, 1, 2, 3, and then the block is broken, and you're going to do massive amount of damage. Now, the amount of damage that you're going to inflict on your opponent is based off of the combination that you're going to throw with that stationary combination, as well as the stamina that you're throwing it with as the fighter that you're using. So if you see, I let Robert Whitaker's stamina recover to get the max amount of damage that I can. So I'll jab, come back, hit him with a 1, 2, 3, his block's broken, and then bam, I get a good solid amount of damage because my stamina is about at 65 to 70%, instead of me just going like this, and then I'm punching, and then I try to come back in and load up with a combination like that. And it minimizes the risk of him being able to hit me, or my opponent being able to hit me with a combination in frame advantage. So that's why I do that. That's why you see me jab, I'll back out, I'll 1, 2, 3, I'll back out again, and then I'll just come in with a block breaking combination, whether that be moving forward or standing still. So that's how I do it against a lot of opponents that are just blocking. I'll just utilize the movement, and that's why I'm using Robert Whitaker here. I'll just jab, come in 1, 2, 3, and then then you can work. Because at that point in time, if your opponent does try to respond to you, they've already eaten about 5 to 10% head health damage. So if you input a combo in time, you're going to be able to beat them and get massive damage off and interrupt their combination if they don't time it correctly. So that's why I say move in and out. Don't just be hitting on somebody's block the entire time, because if they load up a combination after your combo, they're going to beat you to the punch almost every time if they have the correct timing. So that's what I do against people that just block. Now, what do you do against somebody that that actually moves and is trying to exchange with you? And that's the second point we're going to get into, is somebody knows you're trying to set up the pressure and they're trying to respond back. Now, this can be kind of self-explanatory, but I feel like a lot of intermediate to beginner players don't really see this or don't really pay attention to this. And this is what kind of gets you caught against really high level players, is you try to respond back when they're establishing a rhythm. Now, what do I mean by that? So a lot of people will block and then they'll try to hit a combo. So we're gonna double jab, and then you see right there, look, at your block never went back up and your head health was already his head health was already low because I hit it, but you try to exchange. So not only have you just whiffed on a combination, you've drained your stamina and your block has not gone back up. So that's where a lot of people get caught. They get caught trying to exchange when their opponent is backing up. So you not only drained your stamina, your block is still low, and then your head health is going to be low too most of the time if they've done a good enough job of being able to establish their rhythm. So key defensive tip to what I'm going to go over with you guys right now is don't throw combinations at people until you feel comfortable enough with their rhythm to be able to try to break it. But as an aggressive fighter, what you want to do in order to establish this is you want to use that same and punish this, really, is you want to establish that same rhythm that we do with somebody that blocks. But after you see them combo like this right here, you want to step in and get that solid amount of damage and try to catch them on the vulnerability of throwing that combo. That's really what you're trying to set up. When you're jabbing into the block, you're really trying to set your opponent up to be able to get that KO like that right there and really get their stamina low and get their block health at about the same. So you see, we'll go over it one more time. So we have him blocking. We'll double jab into his block, let him throw his combination. His block is low, and bam, we punish him. That is a very, very effective way of being able to maintain pressure as well as getting solid damage off, because now your opponent is going to be more hesitant to throw if you knock them down like that, and then they're just going to start shelling up and start blocking most of the time, like we went over in the first step. Or they'll start to utilize head movement and start trying to move off while they're blocking like this right here, and then you can just eat that body up. You can try to time out or try to force them into shots, which is something that I use effectively as well. I used it in my third round fight against Death Punch last weekend. I started forcing him into slipping into shots that I wanted him to slip into. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to win that fight, but that's what I started doing in the third round of that fight. And that's what you could do as well in ranked, is start forcing your opponent to slip into shots and really not trying to offer any kind of offense back once you knock them down off this step. So definitely something that I would recommend you guys trying to use and make a read on in every single fight you get, not just against beginner players, intermediate players, but against elite players as well. This works. It forces your opponent, when they know that you're able to fight this way, to maintain focus and really pay attention to what they're throwing at all times. And it can really put a lot of stress on the mind. And sometimes people they make that one mistake and you're able to get them out. So definitely, these are definitely steps that I would recommend every single person use, whether you're a grappler or a striker or you're trying to get a good mixture of both. These are definitely tools that I would recommend all of you guys trying to put into your game. But all right, guys, that is going to be it for the tips on the videos. Hopefully you guys are able to take these tips and really apply them to your game so it helps you better pressure your opponents. Let me know in the comment section if this video did help you guys out, or if you guys need me to go in depth in another video on some of the things that I went over today. If you guys enjoyed the video and you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I do make a lot of tutorial videos as well as other UFC content, like my spammer videos and all that different kinds of stuff, as well as drop a like on the video so that way it gets thrown into the algorithm so that way more people see this and more people get these tips out there to help better improve their game. But all right, guys, until the next video, thank you guys for stopping by, and I will see you guys in the next one.